This meeting is being recorded.
Okay,
Am
how
I-
about now?
Yes, sounds
Can you
good.
hear us?
I can hear you. I'm just gonna have to hold the phone. Well, let me see if
Put
I,
your phone on speaker.
yeah, if I mute my,
No.
He mutes the computer, then we can't hear him.
How does that even make sense?
I don't know.
He's on his phone,
Doesn't make any sense.
but his phone's muted.
Yeah.
He's muted everywhere.
He's like a mime.
Oh, your phone's muted now.
We can't hear you, Mike. Speak.
Huh.
Still
I just
muted.
texted him.
No.
He's ignoring the texts. "2021, love the technology."
And it was working so smoothly for the last several months.
I know.
Now everybody's echoing.
Comment.
Yeah.
He
So
has
where
the
did the echo come from
headphones
suddenly?
in the bottom of the computer where it says mute. Sometimes it just takes it to headphones. Maybe he should check that because that has happened to me before.
I don't know sign language. I can't send him a message. Well, he can't see me anyway, so I couldn't do that anyway.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
That sounds
I'm
good.
gonna have to use my phone for my speaker, my computer for my microphone.
Okay, well, that's less than ideal for you, but I guess it's going to work.
Okay,
Okay.
all right then. With that out of the way, and we're about 7 minutes late. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for the night of February 23rd, 2021. Noreen, can you do a roll call
Mike Murphy,
here?
Peter Lewis,
Present?
Kevin Scully,
Present.
Austin Said.
I'm here.
I'm sorry, Austin. I say your name wrong every night.
Side.
Side.
Side. Yeah, like side
Like the
elevation.
side.
There you go.
I'll get it. I'll get it. I promise.
It's okay.
All present.
Okay, so we have a quorum. I'd like to open the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
Under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and justice for all. So, I'm having a really bad night. Thank you. Okay, so luckily tonight, we only have 2 items on the agenda. Both are public hearings. With the difficulty we had logging on, did anybody else have trouble logging in? And
I
Noreen,
resent the link to both applicants.
Yeah, they're on.
Yep, they're both
Okay,
on. And
yeah.
I also went back to the town website where the links are posted, and that link worked.
Okay.
And that's how
good.
Peter
Then
got
that
on.
means
So that link
everybody's
is
got fair access to the meeting tonight.
correct.
Okay, so with that being said, we can move into the first applicant that's here tonight, and that's Michael Leblanc. He's here for front yard setback variance and also variance for parking in the front yard.
Need a motion to open the public hearing, please.
Oh, it's
Make a
open.
motion to open a public hearing. I
Isn't
second
it-
the motion.
There's like, oh no, you know I'm vegan, and you
I mean, I'll second it, but didn't we open it last week?
No,
Oh,
No,
tonight
no,
is the
no.
first night.
got it. Okay.
So Kevin, you opened it?
Yeah, and I'll second it.
Correct.
All in favor, if you can hear Mike or not?
Aye.
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 Okay. You should
All
have an
right.
updated plan that I sent from his architect as well.
Right, and I think that the updated plan contained the right revisions that we were looking for. Unfortunately, it wasn't a completed plan. We didn't get a signed and sealed version of it. But I know that the applicant's engineer submitted it on time and asked for feedback, which we didn't get to him.
Right,
And
so
I'm thinking,
he
Yes,
said he
Lorraine?
will send me the signed and sealed one as soon as he could, just with the meeting. I said, just get me the link and make sure my guys have it. But he will send the sealed ones to the office.
okay, because that's what we want to see, because the first map he brought to us was a copy of an old map that had been marked up,
Right,
which was prepared by a licensed land surveyor. And so now he sent us a draft of how they wanted to revise it, which I believe it shows what we were asking him to do. So now it's really going to be a matter of, getting that record copy on file. Yep.
Hey, Mike, this is Austin Syke. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Hey, Mike, I was looking at the plan. Doesn't seem to be any dimensions on the paved area to be removed. I thought that Ben had specific dimensions that he wanted it work to.
He did. I believe it was 13 by 20. 13, we just took a 13-foot strip right off the whole.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I mean, I think when it comes in signed and sealed, it probably needs to have those dimensions on it.
Oh, it definitely will. And it is all done to scale.
So this plan where the area that's existing paved drive to be removed, that's according to the dimensions that we agreed on, correct?
Correct.
So let me just interject for 1 second. Even though we had done a lot of work on this application the last two meetings, I think it was on the agenda. Remember, this is the first time it's been open for the public hearing. So I don't know if anybody is, present from the public to hear this, but they should certainly be given other people on the line should certainly be given the opportunity, because this might be the first time that they've heard of what this application is about. And so what we should do is get, an overview of, what the board already knows, but let's get it on the record so it's clear on the record, so the board can act on a public record instead of anything that happened in the prior public meetings. So if the applicant would like to just go over, again, sort of from the start, even though we know what it is, but for the record, since the hearing is now open.
Okay. For the record, on the front entryway, there's a roof that is over top of that. It's 4 feet by 5 feet, the front entryway, the roof above it. The shaded area on the map that is in front of the stairs, it's not blacktop, but it's a gravel milling surface. That's going to be 13 feet of that is going to be removed and make a straight line from the house to the street. And then we're going to put a sidewalk in, kind of like an arc sidewalk to the driveway. So we'll be eliminating the shaded area or the X'd or hatched area that you see on the drawing. That's what's going to be taken away, seeded in topsoil, the same as the rest of the yard.
Dave, could I share a screen just so I can show a map to everybody?
Yeah. Give me a second. I'll make you a co-host.
Okay.
Okay, you should be able to share your screen, Mike.
All right. So does everybody see the map that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I was able to look at the map a little bit and calibrated it so that I could take off some measurements. And as we were talking about, this is the gravelled area in front of the house, and it does scale out to be 13 feet wide, as we asked him. I guess that also is what Ben, the building inspector, was looking for. So what we're left with here is a driveway where the front portion is about 25 feet wide, kind of a double lane driveway. And that's all in the front yard. But what we had asked him to do was extend the driveway along the side yard so that there was parking that is not in the front yard. So he's shown that, which is this additional area back here. And that's, measures 10 feet by 20 feet. So that's a full parking space. The front yard variance that we're talking about, right, because here's the main building and it's set back 40 feet, which is in accordance with the zoning. And what happened was he put a awning over his front patio that bumped it out that 5 feet. So that's really the extent of the variance that we're looking for, is just to cover that 5 foot overhang.
Yeah, as well as approve partial parking in the front yard.
Yeah.
Right. At a, a smaller dimension that was previously there. So we basically took this half a driveway that was in the front yard and put it around side of the house. And the whole goal behind that requirement, no parking in the front yard, is so that as you look down the road past, single family residential houses, you don't just see cars all over the place. And while that's part of the Town of Monroe code, it's also a condition that exists almost everywhere, So here we're trying to fix it one lot at a time.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are other houses in that street, Mr. Leblanc, that kind of have some parking in the front, correct?
Yeah, all of them. There's not one that doesn't have cars parked in the front yard.
I know, trust us, we're not trying to, be tough guys.
I understand.
Just trying to. On that map, where's that tree that you talked about?
The tree is actually, it will be over here, so that tree will be saved.
It's like in the front
tree.
there?
Oh, in
Where
this
that
area?
curved line is.
Yeah, yes, right in that area
Yeah.
there. Yes.
Got
Yeah,
it.
so that won't be an issue. That tree will be able to stay.
Good, all right.
So the only variance that is being applied for is for the roof. Because I guess I based on the last conversation we had, I was under the assumption that the grade was impeding the second parking spot on the side of the house. But it seems like that's been resolved.
Yeah, but
Because we're
technically, Austin, the part of the parking will be in the front yard, so I think we need to approve that as a variance. Is that correct, Dave?
I think so. I think the
Yeah.
changes that the applicant agreed to make didn't totally eliminate the need for that parking in the front yard
Right.
variance. It definitely cut it way down. It cut the surface area down.
So the parking,
Yeah, because
the parking requirement is I believe it's 9. Is it 9 by 18 for the stall?
I think it's 10 by 20.
10 by
But
20.
the requirement for a single family residential lot is to have 2 parking spaces. So here we've accomplished maybe 1.5 parking spaces in the side yard. If we look at this, because, here, this is 33 feet long, so here's your first 20-foot parking spot. Here's half of your second one. So your second car would stick out to here.
So we probably need to have those dimensions on the plan too, right?
You want him to mark out 2 parking spaces here?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is going to be the official drawing that gets filed, and it's going to go back to Ben, right? I mean, this is basically, this is going to hold up a C of O, right?
This was just a,
He didn't issue the C of O because of this variance
and
requirement.
he didn't want to, he wanted to wait and make sure that this was okay with the board. Once it's built, then he would go and remake the exact as-built survey
Yeah.
of exactly what it is, and, the sidewalk, the way it falls, and everything.
Okay, and I think Austin brings up a good point here, is that the final map should delineate 2 parking spaces along that side yard here, where we would have 1, and then the second one out here that's half in compliance.
Yeah,
So then
that created, remember we talked about the tandem parking. That was, I believe, I don't know if you meant tandem side by side or tandem back to back.
in this case, because of the narrowness of your yard, I think it's got to be back to back. Right, because you only have 20 feet here. It's 19.7.
All right.
And, that would push it right up against your neighbor's property. I think this is more sensitive to your neighbors by maintaining that 5-foot buffer.
Right. And also, it was supposed to be 20 feet from the front line back to the, you know what I mean? Keeping it 8 feet back from the back corner, because the grade does drop off in the back there. But when he added the 20 feet on his notes, he added 20 to the existing.
Are you saying you're going to have difficulty building this additional space 20 feet long?
20 feet from the existing, the plan was to be 20 feet from the corner, which is no problem. There's a tree back in over here, like where the writing proposed driveway, there's a large tree in there. So making that go back that far, that would actually be beyond like the deck line of the house. Going that deep would be.
All right, see, there's a faint deck line and it lines up with it. So this is an aerial view.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that within here, you've got a tree that's going to come out if you.
Yep, that's the tree in there.
Oh.
But there's a considerable drop because basically the footing drains come out there. So that's the bottom of the basement floor. That's a foot lower than the basement floor, that corner.
Oh, so it almost drops a full story.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
That's why it was no problem to put 1 car on the side. No problem to go the 20 feet from the corner back, which will easily do 1 car, no problem. But we would definitely then have to have 1 car in the front. But being it's 2 cars wide, it'd be no problem and no obstacle for the dwelling.
This map that we're looking at, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
this came from you, Mr. Leblanc? Or
Oh, no, that's just somehow an aerial photo on the computer.
not the aerial picture.
Yeah, no, not the aerial, but
the map that we're looking at.
this map was submitted by his engineer,
Right.
asking us if this was the correct markings that we were looking for. Right. We didn't get back to him.
He was supposed to go 20 feet from the front line back.
Right.
He
It's
mistook it.
pretty close to it. If I'm looking at the scale, 1 inch it equals 10 feet. I don't know if it comes out right in terms of the way it printed out on my printer, but
It says
anybody else scale that out? It looks
says
like
32 feet.
I just know the house is 28 wide. So
Right.
that's why I'm just going by that.
Oh,
That line is 28 feet. So
why didn't he draw it to the end of the
to be honest with you, because he didn't show me what he did, and he took it on his own and sent it in. And I hate to say it, but he's a 25-year-old engineer who just wants to wear the pants. And when I saw it, I said to him, I said, and I showed him right on our notes, I said, we put 20 feet from the corner, not from the, because this existing there is, I think it's like 13, not even 13 feet. It was maybe 10 or 12 feet, that the leg that was there. So we were going to extend that enough so that one full car could be parked on that side.
So what's the requirement for one full parking spot, Mike?
20 feet.
It's I got 9 by 18 off the code.
Right. So if you did that side part to the edge, which you say is 28 feet, it's more than big enough that for one spot. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, more than big. I mean, even.
Right, but I think what Mr. LeBeau is saying is he just wants to do one spot.
Right.
From
20
here
feet. Exactly.
Oh, you don't.
Yes.
back to there.
Right.
And just because of the grade.
Right.
And the tree.
Would that satisfy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, I think, to make the argument strong, I mean, we got to have the tree, right? I mean, it's above a certain caliper. We need to show all the stuff, on the drawing that makes it clear that there's a problem and we're solving the problem to the best of our ability. And the variance is the minimum variance that's necessary. And it's for this reason, because of these constraints.
Yeah, I agree, Austin. Without the tree being shown there, it doesn't really give us leverage to say, yeah, let's stop here. Let's not go any further.
But I mean, just the bottom corner, the very back corner of the property, that's the lowest point, and that's like I say, that's a foot lower than the basement floor. That's where the footing drains come out in the very back corner.
But now we're talking about design, right? We're talking about the design of a residence, and you're getting into aspects of design that need to be dealt with prior to construction. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt here, but to kind of like put the cart, not to put the cart before the horse. Like, we're trying to talk about how to remedy something that should have been dealt with during design, right? Where you site the building is based on how the analytics of how you dealt with the code. So before you build the house, you site the house. Once you site the house and you resolve the code issues, then you build the house. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, maybe it's a foot below the basement. Okay, get it, but that's part of what the architect or engineer's job is when they're, designing the house, is to figure out how to meet code while satisfying your needs as well.
Originally, we weren't planning on the side yard parking. That's what kind of threw the little stick in the wheel.
Well, you probably weren't banking on it because whoever designed the house didn't read the code and they didn't know that you weren't allowed to park in the front of the house. That's why you weren't, that's why you weren't banking on it.
Correct.
And not that, like I said, not to shove it in your face. I think that we're here to kind of, we're here to talk reasonably about what's possible. So I think we just got to put the tree, put the tree on the plan, put the, if you think the basement elevation is a hardship and a constraint that's causing a problem, throw that on the plan too also, provide the diagram that shows that that's an issue too. All these things that we need to,
I mean, basically, I was under the impression we just had to get one car on the side and we were going to ask for the variance for the second car in the front. And that wouldn't be any problem to do. And
Yeah, but I
keep aesthetics.
Mr. LeBeau, I think what Austin's trying to say is, in order for us to get to that point and say, okay, that's a reasonable conclusion, and that you shouldn't do any more, is that to show us the constraint, because of the grading and the location of this large existing tree, that if we were to push to get 2 cars parked on the lot in compliance, it may do more harm than good, because we have to take down a big, I don't know, was it a 24-inch maple tree or something?
Yeah.
I think all these things could just be noted on the plan. Like, for instance, if the footing elevation, if you're going to reveal the footing when you grade down, we
wouldn't be grading down. If anything, we'd be filling in, grading up.
Yeah.
So it's
well, yeah, and if you filled up, you probably would need to build a retaining wall so that you weren't,
exactly.
against your neighbor's yard,
Right, correct. That's why I say it's not a problem for the one car. like I said, it's actually no problem for the one car and keep everything pretty much status quo the way it is as far as the grade goes and to the neighbor's yard and the backyard and everything else.
See, these are the kind of difficulties we get into when we schedule public hearings before everybody says, okay, all the information that needs to be on this map is here and everything is in order. Because now we're in the midst of a public hearing and we may not be able to get to a decision point tonight.
And that's why the engineer told me that he told me he sent the map over and everybody had it. And if there was any questions or problems, they would bring it up to me or him before we were here. So.
But keeping the public hearing open is not an issue, right, Mike?
No, we could certainly do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. LeBeau, I don't think this is holding you up from anything. Are you unable to live in the house because you don't have a CO, or, are there any financial hardships that are piling up month after month?
All the above, I guess, is the way to say it, right?
So you're not living in the house?
No.
Is this a primary residence?
Not exactly. No, I have another place. The thought is that it will be. I just want to get it done. You know what I mean? It's kind of seems as if every time I turn around, there's something that something that throws a stick in the wheel, or the plan, or a window change, or a door change, or something. Everything is it just seems as if I'm constantly being shaken over nothing. You know what I mean? Like over something that I thought we were just in agreement that we needed to get one full car on the side, which is no problem to do, and
Right.
we need to park one car in the front.
Right, but your plan that you've submitted through your engineer doesn't really depict exactly what you want.
Now you're telling me you want a car and a half, which, I mean.
Well, that's what he depicted.
That's what
here.
you're showing. That's what your drawing shows.
Yeah, and once again, I told you, he made a mistake. He was supposed to go 20 feet from the corner back.
Well, I know.
Yeah, well, we get that. I think that's very clear. But that's the problem. Somebody made a mistake,
Okay.
and this is on the record. This is legal.
Right. All right. Well, once again, even when I said it to him, I told him, I said, you know what, you made a mistake here. And he looked right at my little sketch that I put. Oh yeah, but he goes, well, this doesn't matter. This isn't a final as-built. This isn't a stamped copy. I said, well, I would rather it be right when we do it for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, oh, well, I asked him if there was any questions. He goes, it's not a problem. Just
Did he talk to anybody?
Just tell him,
Or was it just an email?
He
What's that?
emailed it to me and I emailed it out to everybody else. No one got back to me with my request, so I said, just send it in for tonight, because at this point, that's all we have.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to have extensive back and forth email because of the issue of having a quorum via email.
Yeah.
I figured,
Right.
look, that's why I emailed Peter specifically on the issue, and only Peter. And I mean, we could open that up a little bit more, but I mean,
Austin, that's the issue, and for the applicant to understand, that may have been the understanding of your engineer or what he thought, but we actually can't do that. Like, in other words, the applicant can't send something in between meetings when in advance of a public hearing and then have the board members deliberate it, outside of the realm of a publicly noticed meeting. So, it becomes a very cumbersome process to have an engineer submit something and then look for and expect sort of a consensus review back from the board. It's impossible to do that without violating the open meetings law. So, he may not have understood that. So, he made the mistake, but I feel badly that you're going to be set back another month, but it really is it's not a function of anybody busting your chops, but I can appreciate that it's very frustrating for you. But it's, you know,
I think the missing ingredient
you know,
here is not having the engineer appear at these meetings. You know, Mr. LeBeau is here on his own and he's transmitting a message to his professionals who were not in the room. So this is the way these things don't get resolved.
Well, I was upset that he didn't bring it to me and show it to me before he sent it to Noreen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I looked at it right away and it was the first thing I said to him. I said, well, wait a minute. And he looked right at the notes that we had and he said, oh yeah, you're right. You know, and he agreed it was his mistake, but that's not helping me tonight.
We
No,
just
he
like
did not
establish a
call.
list.
He did
Sorry.
not call and say that there was an issue after speaking with Mike. He said that he showed it to Mike and that he sent it to me before he did the final and do the cost of printing them and everything for Mike, if this was what we were looking for. So that's why I sent it out. If I had gotten back one, yes, this is what we're looking for, I would have had him do the final as-built. Or I could have said, no, you need to follow what was left in your meeting notes, and then Mike could have gone back. I was unaware that Mike did not see this plan before it was sent to me. That's not what was conveyed to me by the engineer.
Well, why don't we just put together a short list of what needs to be on the drawing
Yeah,
and
solve
kind of
it.
put this off to the next meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Go ahead.
So we mentioned that we need to have the existing paving to be removed, dimensioned carefully based on the building inspector's requirements to return the area back to what it was in the original permit application.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have the covered wood porch dimensioned with relation to the setback line. We need to have the parking on the side of the house. They have the setback, but they don't have it. They don't have the actual dimension of the. Oh, I see what you're saying. They have it from the. They have it from the front. Okay, so it's inversely like dimensioned, and that's cool. That's okay. Yeah, I think so because you have the 40-foot. You have the 40.3, and then you have the 36.4. Okay, so I guess you could go back into that dimension, and then you need to have the parking, the single parking stall, laid out on the side of the house in the turnaround space, because that was the turnaround. It was a little confusing to me, but I don't want to like backtrack. There was like a turnaround space that was called for by Ben, which I think you had, and there was going to be one spot that was like partially sticking out from the house. So just show a 9x18 stall. And as far as this other extension of the driveway, I still don't quite understand why it's on the drawing. I think you're saying it's a mistake. So the variance is
This
for.
piece in the back.
Yeah. Show the
Yeah.
if you want. If you
That was
want
only
it,
supposed to be extended out this 20-foot dimension, right?
yeah.
Correct.
So that he's got that one full parking spot
Exactly.
on the side that's in compliance.
Okay, so then extend the pavement to encompass the parking stall 9x18 per the code. Throw the tree in because it's probably important that we can see the tree because it's a constraint. And I think you got it, you know. And then the variance is for a parking spot in the front yard.
Correct.
In the front.
And it's not possible to do that now.
And if your engineer doesn't
as-built
understand
will
these
reflect it.
directions, then he's got to make a phone call. He can't just send an email. This is a part-time job for us, and we're not monitoring emails each.
Believe me, I get it. I was totally upset with what he did. I was upset that he left me out of the loop. I'm the guy who pays the bill. Keep me in the loop. I'm old school. I'm 60 years old. I don't play the game these young guys play. I do things. I want it done right. I want it done. Bring it to me. Let me look at it, and then I put my blessing on it, and it's done. But he took it on his own. He thought he was, I don't know. He thought he was doing the right thing, sending it. He made a PFD, whatever that, or however he sent it to Noreen. I don't understand computers. So
Dave, do you think we need a complete drawing before we approve it or vote on it or talk about it, or can we?
Yeah, we need a fixed drawing. It needs to be a complete drawing showing the complete boundary of the property. This is just like a cut off of it.
But that can't
The
be
drawing should also have
There
Yeah.
is a full, there's a
bulk
whole full
zoning data
drawing.
table,
Okay,
which was on the other paper copy. So it's not like he doesn't have this information. He just gave us a sketch and said, here it is. And he didn't get it right with what he sketched up. He didn't follow up. And you know, before we go and make a determination on this, I think we want that corrected map submitted.
I agree.
And there's no printing cost here because this is a PDF. There's no paper involved.
Okay, so we extend the public meeting till next meeting, and we get that information from Mr. Leblanc, and then we should be okay.
Yes. So just to reiterate, the map should be a complete map, entire boundary of the parcel, signature and seal of the surveyor, bulk zoning data table showing existing conditions and proposed, and the variance that's required. The driveway needs to be modified the way we just discussed today, where there's only a 20-foot parking space, or as Austin correctly pointed out, it's only an 18-foot by 9-foot required parking space. So if that, 2 foot shorter helps your situation, that's fine. Then, this is all correctly marked up, as far as what needs to be removed and turned back into lawn. It just needs to have a dimension on it.
I mean, the dimension is pretty much, it's gonna go right the full 40 feet back to the house. You know what I mean? Like, that's the front yard is the 40 feet.
Right.
Right.
All of this is gonna be,
These red lines are ones that you put in, Mike?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So so there isn't a dimension there on the
oh,
map.
okay.
You know what I mean? Mike put that in.
Sorry, this is Dave McCartney. So, if we're going to have a new plan, what we should do, Mr. LeBaz, is have the engineer also call out and show, look, if you're going to go back 20 feet on the side, on that side parking, show that 20-foot dimension, but also then show specifically one car in that spot and another car behind it, and measure where is that second car going to be, so that we can call out, let's say the board is inclined to grant you the variances. We want to be able to say, yeah, okay, parking in the front yard to X dimension, right? Not 2 spots, but where is that spot? How far into the front yard as defined by code is that second car going to extend? That's really, for the variance purposes, for the board's purposes, that's the really important dimension that your engineer should provide them. And that way, if they do grant the variance, it can say, okay, parking in the front yard to, X feet, or whatever that dimension is. Boom. And
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. You're showing a 19.7 foot dimension from the house to the property line. The parking stall is only required to be 9 by 18. Why aren't you parking 2 cars there?
The grade.
I don't
The grade
understand.
to the neighbor's property drops off.
Yeah, but look, we have to be reasonable here.
If you go to
This
those
is a new construction house, and you didn't cut the tree down. You didn't build the retaining wall. That was your choice to not design it that way. You got a 19.7 foot dimension to the property line. You can fit 2 parking stalls there, side by side, and not have to apply for this variance. Why are we not doing that?
That's really tight, Austin, because then the car's right up against the house, and then the pavement is right up to the property. There's a number of ways you could look at this, but I think that the least impactful way is to use a single lane parking, and not make this problem his neighbor's problem.
Exactly.
Is it against code to do that though?
I have to see what the required offset is from a.
I just would prefer not to. I would prefer not to entertain a variance request for something that's code compliant. You know, whether it's good design or not, it's not good design to design a house that doesn't have the adequate parking. That's not good design either. Designing a house that doesn't have the retaining wall, you didn't cut the tree down in order to make, to meet code, that's not good design. But based on the dimensions that I see, if it's code compliant to have side-by-side parking, then we should avoid the variance.
So you're saying side-by-side parking on the side of the house there?
Yeah.
Is there enough?
He has a 19.7 plus or minus dimension from the house to the property line. And there's no code restriction on parking next to the property line.
By the time you build a retaining wall, you'd have less than 16 feet on the top side, even with.
Yeah, but it's not, we can't have that conversation because you haven't submitted a topographic plan. There's no way to understand your grading. We've been looking at photographs for over 2 months already. We need to understand grading. This is an engineering problem.
I think it's pretty clear to see just from the photographs, or we could meet out on the site.
I don't know.
I think we're switching horses midstream
See
now.
this photograph here. This shows the side of the house. This shows the side of the house. The silt fence is on the property line. You can see, I don't think you could ever get 2 cars in there unless they're little Hyundais.
The parking stall size is 9 by 18. If you want to park bigger vehicles there, that's on you. That's not the code requirement. And what you do after you get your variance is on you. That's why I'm saying we're trying to meet code. We don't want to create precedents and have to approve variances for things that can be accomplished reasonably within the code based on the constraints that are on site. Because when you approve a variance, it's not just you, Mr. LeBlanc, it's everybody that comes after you. And if we just go around approving variances, allowing everybody to park in the front yard, everybody's going to come and show us Mr. LeBlanc's application to park cars in the front yard. And then where do we stand at that point? It's not like I want to deny it. I just want to make sure that we're fully cooked here, and that we're issuing the minimum variance necessary for the application.
We're looking to park 1 car there, and every other house on the street has 2 cars or more parked in their front yards.
Well, that's part of the code also, is that single-family dwellings need to have 2 parking spaces.
So, I mean, to return back, if you want to continue to pursue the variance, then now we have to also just make sure that we're clear about why you have a 19.7 foot space to your property line, and that's not desirable as well. Why can you not put the 2 spaces over there? So, these are the things that I'm considering. I can't speak for the other board members, but when I look at this plan, these are the things that I'm thinking about when I'm looking at it. So I'm just speaking, out loud, thinking out loud, they call it, I guess.
The neighbor would walk out his door and be looking at a wall. Not a pretty sight, I don't think.
Yeah, but again, I think that has to do with the site constraints, and those are the risks you take when you develop property. You look at a property and you make a decision. Can I build a house here? And if I build a house here, what's going to happen? Like, what's it going to look like? What are the impacts? That's why you hire an architect or an engineer. And
originally I did, and that was what we had. We had a driveway in the front of the house. We had a 2-car driveway in the front of the house, and that was what was approved. And I thought it was all fair and well. You know what I mean? I didn't think. I didn't know that we weren't allowed. Nobody knew it. We were issued the permit without knowing it. And just like I think I told you, I think the driveway just wound up bigger, not by choice. It just seemed like it was convenient to park that way with the trees. It just seemed to work. So that's why it was done. But it wasn't a problem to remove it and put grass there and topsoil and turn the sidewalk. It's not a problem. And to put 1 car on the side, that's all not a problem. And will work and look aesthetically nice to the neighborhood. And that's kind of all I want to do.
Man, I understand what you're saying, Austin. It's a design issue from the start. You know, we get these cases that, you know, they come to us after things have been done, and we have to kind of take a look at it and understand what's reasonable, what's not reasonable.
What is this drawing that we're looking at? Is this like the original survey?
That's the
Yeah,
original site
this
plan.
is the original survey we had. This is
Is it
their
a survey or a
final
site plan?
building permit. Here's
It's
he's
the
showing the
plan.
proposed house,
Okay.
right? And the issue that began the whole thing was that the awning over the front steps, right? That pushed it out into the front yard setback. And I think that's what triggered
Right.
Ben's review of the property and saying, well, you know, this is a problem. Now, if we go back to Ben's letter, what is in there?
We're going back to Ben's letter. Ben first sent a letter about the roof. That was the original problem. And then we picked up on the parking issue, and Ben issued a revised letter that said that the site plan needed to get returned back to the original state with the piece in front of the house taken off. And then there was a note about a turnaround, which I don't completely understand, but I mean, you know, the bottom line is that he called for some kind of a turnaround. I don't really understand. The turnaround is, and the turnaround has a comment on it with regard to a section of the code that deals with being able to adequately maneuver the vehicles. It's my understanding.
Right. In none of Ben's things did it have anything to do with that there's no front yard parking. Like I say, that was all kind of news to me.
Now, one of his last letter that he issued mentioned it.
Yeah. There we go. And that was the original letter.
That was the original.
Encroachment of 4 feet. All right, so in his original letter, he's just talking about the 4-foot encroachment.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, that was
So
it.
where's the second letter?
Second letter came after we looked at the application. We looked at the application, and then Peter picked up on the fact that there was an issue with the site plan, which was, I think, in all, you know, it was, you know, good intentions, you know, just trying to make sure it was complete and it was comprehensive. But, you know, he had noted it. And then Ben said, thanks for pointing that out. You're right. And he went back and he issued a new letter, and it included a diagram of what needed to happen to return. There we go. Amended to the amended letter. See this, and then there's this comment about the turnaround.
So the problem in Ben's letter was about the added parking area in the front yard, which is
Variance will
that
be
I'll
required because it does not conform to 5738. I have attached copy of the handbook survey with my red marks and comments.
Mr. Leblanc, just as an aside, just from my notes, that covered wood porch, what are the dimensions of that little porch?
4 foot by 5 foot.
Thank you.
Shall be within the required front yard. Does provide.
Yeah, see, that's Ben taking that 13 feet out, right?
Correct.
Right, and this dates back to November 24th.
And then what's the back look like on this one, Mike? By that side there? As per, oh, okay, he's just saying as per.
And that's what's there now. And like I said, we just wanted to extend that to 20 feet so that the car could be fully off in the side yard.
Right.
How much of the distance in front from this corner of the house over to where the paved will be? What's that distance about?
The center of the house is 18 feet to here to the center. So that's about 12 feet from the corner over.
So that's the part that would be in the front yard, technically.
Correct.
12 feet of that. Okay. What are your thoughts, Austin? What would you like to see? I mean,
honestly, when you look at this plan, does this present itself with clarity to you? I mean, to me, I'm even more confused looking at this like a fifth time.
well, I know, but if
Clearly the pavement was taken out for two reasons, right? One, because it wasn't on the original plan, right? I guess that's the issue. Why it needs to be issued under, like, why it needs to be removed or otherwise a variance applied for parking in the front yard, I don't even understand. People are allowed to pave their yards. They're allowed to do it until you hit the maximum lot coverage. Well, who cares if he paves that area? The problem is parking cars. We're detracting from the problem here.
No, it has to do with parking in the front. There is the code does talk about that parking in the front yard is not, you're not allowed to just pave your front yard.
And maybe what Ben was looking back at was,
You're not allowed to pave your front yard? Where does it say in the code that you're not allowed to pave your front yard?
I mean,
Ben might have been looking back at this map, which is what he granted a building permit over, which showed this amount of pavement in the front yard. I mean, this site plan does not address parking in the front yard at all. And a permit was granted.
This is true.
So
there is no parking even shown on the plan.
This amount of parking was okay. Then when he came in and he had double the amount paved out front, that's when Ben said, well, you got to cut off 13 feet.
Yeah, 13. You have to cut off 13 feet to get the variance.
Yeah.
Or apply for a variance to park in the front yard if you want to keep the 13 feet.
So if this was the original thing that was proposed and it was accepted, then why do we have to have parking on the side at all?
That's what I'd like to know, but I'm okay with parking one car on the side.
I think what we're looking at this point is a compromise.
Yeah, it sounds like that's where we're going. You could probably argue it that the original driveway stabilized entrance is approved for parking because it was approved. It's an approved plan. So you could just say you build that, you don't need a variance, which you have by taking out the 13 by 30 space. What happens on the side of your house is really, it doesn't even fall under, I mean, technically, I don't think it needs to fall under our, purview or whatever you want to call it. Why would we even address it? You have an approved plan from the town to build 2 parking spaces in your front yard. And the building inspector hasn't said a thing about that. He just said, get rid of the 13 by 30.
I thought he had.
And in Ben's first letter, he didn't say anything about the parking. He just talked about the awning encroaching into the front yard.
But I thought he had said something in his revised letter, hadn't he?
No, he never said anything about parking. Just that the driveway was larger than what was submitted, what was approved on the submitted approved plan.
That's correct.
He talked about, there is zoning, there is in the zoning code stipulations regarding parking in the front yard. There is that is in the code.
Absolutely, Peter. I totally agree with you. But I guess in retrospect, the problem that we're having as a board is that we're dealing with an application to the planning board, that was approved, right? Or the building inspector. I guess this wouldn't
No,
have
the
had to go to
building
the planning
inspector
board. It would go to
approved
the
it.
building
It's just a
inspector. So the
lot
building
development.
inspector approved it back in the day, whenever it was originally applied for. And technically, he doesn't even need a variance. He shouldn't need a variance to park his cars, in the front yard, right? I mean, I'm just, again, thinking out loud based on what we're looking at here.
No, of
You
course,
know,
it needs variance. Well,
That is a requirement in the town of Monroe. You cannot park in the front yard. But I can cite, 100 examples in any development where that's the case. New developments, old developments alike.
I totally agree with you, Mike. But is that what he's here for? You know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think what Ben is saying is you got to get a variance for that awning.
Yeah.
And by the way, you pave too much of your front yard. I only approve like a little double wide driveway, and this thing's like a triple wide.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep.
And that's
Well,
why
I know-
he's saying in this letter here to take
But
13
one way
feet
or the
off.
other, Ben must have advised him that there was a violation for no parking in the front yard because that's
No,
the
I
application.
was never told that there's no parking in the front yard till you guys told me the night of the meeting.
I mean, at some point.
Right here, that letter.
Because your application dated October 30th, 2020 asked for two variances, one for the front yard setback and one for no front yard parking. And the
Oh.
variance we're asking.
Wasn't there also a
That's-
280A variance that was issued? Was there anything in the 280A?
That was in 2018. That was just access to the road.
Maybe there was something in the 280A that dealt with the parking in the front yard?
No,
No.
but all I'm saying is that the application submitted at the end of October specifically requested a variance for front yard parking. And, the prohibition was that there's no front yard parking permitted in the category where it says I desire to, and he wrote in some front yard parking. So I think we're properly here for a variance for front yard parking. The question is, you raise a point that should it have been picked up by Ben earlier? Should the applicant have been advised of this issue earlier? Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true, and it's probably frustrating for the applicant. But here we are, and the applicant's agreeing to do, take away some of the paving and put at least some of the parking, get it out of the front yard. So I think that's, I don't know that there's too much reason to
Right there, Mike.
tires. Let's just deal with what we got in front of us here, right?
But see this, Austin, 5738, no private garage or accessory parking area shall be within a required front yard.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I get it. I get it. I know it's
Except as provided in these two other sections.
yeah.
What they are off the top of my head.
That's in the letter. What is that on the screen? That's from Ben?
This is
Yeah.
Ben's letter. This is
Yeah.
the second letter.
The second letter, yeah, okay.
But that's the thing is that language didn't show up in the first letter, and it seems to be linked to the comment on the drawing that only has to do with the 13 by 30 space in front of the front door. It has nothing to do with the rest of the driveway.
Because when we look back at the original plot plan that was approved, all he showed was parking in the front yard. Just those two spaces. That was it.
Exactly, and he got a
I
permit
think Ben's
issued for
just
that.
objecting to the fact that it was, increased by 50%.
So if we take that 13 by 30 off, why are we still talking about the side of the house parking? That's the part.
That's what I'm trying to get at here. So if we take the 13 by 30 off, he shouldn't need a variance to park in the front yard because Ben already approved it, and we shouldn't. It doesn't really involve the ZBA.
But the problem is now Ben has not approved it, right? Now Ben's written a letter saying it's in violation. And
He's saying that
we could get ourselves all tied up in, a variety of legalities where there's a, building code violation brought, and Mr. Leblanc defends it by saying, hey, you didn't give me that, when you gave me my permit. And I think, these are all good points, and it would be good points raised by both sides there. I guess the issue is, is there any real point in arguing about it right now when the applicant is here saying, look, I'm going to take that 13 feet off. I'm willing to put one car on the side, get some of the parking out of the front yard, and I'm here for a variance, and I've applied for a variance for that purpose. So would you consider what I'm asking for, to put one car on the side and let one car be in the front, or at least partially in the front, right? And Mr. Leblanc said he's got no problem doing that. And it seems to me to be,
Yeah, and I think that is a reasonable compromise. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Austin. I mean, you know, we make decisions, and obviously, you know, it sets some precedent here, and that is something that we have to be concerned about. But I think we're doing this compromise. You know, all of these variances that we're approving tend to be a compromise. I mean, I'm mixed as well as you are. I mean, I want adherence to the zoning code.
Somebody once told me that's what the ZBA board is about, to make things compromise, make things work and keep everybody going.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
If it wasn't, they wouldn't have a ZBA board.
yeah.
If it was all cut and dried and simple.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But I think after all of this, we need to kind of have a concrete, this is exactly what we think we're going to look for. Like a map that comes back to us has to be exactly what we think we want to see.
Right, what we might be willing to approve.
Right.
Well, I think it's cut and dried. We're gonna eliminate that hatched area. We're gonna seed it. We're gonna topsoil.
Yeah.
Gonna put a sidewalk in.
I think what you're saying is cut and dry, but the map is not.
Well, the
Right.
map will be all in final as-built, stamped and sealed plan, similar to the one that he gave me. He gave me a full sheet drawing here, but obviously it's not stamped and approved. So, but it will be when it's built. It'll be an as-built. He put on it a copy, you know, but it'll be a full map like this. This is what he gave me. He calls it a draft, but it's the full survey map of the whole piece. But obviously, after we make the changes, he will make a as-built depicting everything that's there that we've just talked about. And it'll be done. And once again, I think I'm being more than willing by trying to put a car on the side and getting something, you know, out of the front. I realize I didn't know that when I got the building permit. Somebody must have never realized it in order to give me a permit and approve my original site plan.
Yeah.
If I would have known, you know, if I'd have known this, I obviously would have had to change the whole design of the house. It would have had to been something else where you could park under the house. It's a corner lot, so it's almost all front yard. There's 150 feet by 40 feet of front yard.
Yeah.
There's
And that other portion of Crossman Ave, that's not even constructed.
correct. And there's probably 10 feet between the property line and the edge of road. You know,
Over here.
I understand that, who knows, maybe someday it'll be a super highway, but I doubt it in my life or yours.
All right, well, Mr. Leblanc, did you take notes on what we were asking for in terms of making a complete map?
Yeah, I took some notes, but I just think that we could approve this and put it to bed. I mean, I don't see, it's gonna have to be done to it. It'll all be done as an as-built drawing when it's said and done. I mean,
Yeah,
we can sit
we're
here and hash and
not
hash
going to
and
be in
hash,
this
but
position where we're going to approve what we have before us tonight. Because it's not a complete map. There's no signature and seal. This is a working drawing. We're looking for revisions on it. So, you know, if you push us to a vote tonight, I don't think it's going to be favorable.
okay.
But
So
that's my
you
opinion.
want a sealed, I'm going to talk to the boss because once again, like I say, the kid that was working on this Chris kid, he's a nice kid and all, but his take of this was that, at this, you know, he doesn't want to put anything stamped and signed and sealed until it's an actual as-built. So, but I'm
Well,
gonna
an
go
as-built
back,
is
I'm
one
gonna go
thing.
back to him.
And
with
what we're
he
asking
said.
for here is a compliant site plan that shows the variances that are being granted.
Mhm. Okay. No, I don't have a problem. If that's what you want, I'll do it. Whatever you want, I'll do.
And I don't know how much detail the surveyor has when he surveyed the original lot, whether or not he located the existing trees on site. You know, there was a bit of a topography shown on the original subdivision or plot plan. So, I mean, they were out there. It's just that there, you know, there's a complete lack of information here as far as anything beyond what we're
But-
looking at here. It's a very blank map.
Okay.
And there are more
I
site
just
features.
want to
that
make
should
sure
be-
we're all on the same page. We're still gonna get only one car. We're gonna get one car on the side. Correct?
Mhm.
And we're gonna have one car in the front. And we're gonna show the trees. We're gonna show the sidewalk. Put the dimensions on the porch.
I think you have to show all the trees. I think maybe they were having a miscommunication.
Yeah, just
You need
the
to show what's
trees that matter.
constraining the situation. We're trying to create a visual representation of the constraints that are forcing you to come before the board. You know, kind of know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
there's,
but Austin, I don't know that he's,
there's no sense in drawing every single tree on the lot. If there's a tree that is forcing you from building the driveway longer, if there's grading that's forcing you from doing what the code requires you to do, it's simply not shown on the drawing, and this will be a record of our agreement.
It's a record of why we make our decision.
right.
All right. I'll have them make a new map.
All right, so I think that's all clearly understood. Do we want to hold this over and keep the public hearing open until next month?
I would think so, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
And Noreen, the date of next month's meeting is?
March 23rd.
March 23rd. All right, so we don't need to take an action on keeping the meeting open. We're just notifying everybody now that this meeting will be carried over on our next monthly meeting, which is March 23rd. And in the
Correct.
meantime, Mr. LeBeau is going to come back to the board with a complete map, signatures, seals, bulk lot tables, whatever physical features they have already surveyed in terms of trees that can be shown on this map to show some of the restrictions, laying out the 2 parking spots that satisfy the zoning code, one that's going to be fully compliant on the side of the house, and the other one that will still be in the front yard, but it will be the limiting factor here.
Right. And do we need to see if there's anybody else in the public in this meeting? We didn't, I don't know if
We
there's
should open it up. If there's people here that would like to be heard, we certainly should, ask them, open it up to the public. Doesn't mean we can't do it again at the next meeting, but certainly
Yeah.
we should. So if there's anybody here from the public that wishes to be heard, just unmute yourself and be heard, or raise your hand or otherwise.
I don't think there's anybody on, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at the names on screen,
Yep. Okay. I don't see anybody.
okay.
and Noreen, you mentioned that the Zoom meeting link on the town website was accurate?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Should I come over this way?
Okay. So that should take care of that.
Everybody's echoing now.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
where it came from.
No, I can't. Just turn on yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. LeBeau.
Thanks, Mr. LeBeau.
We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
You want to stop sharing your screen, Mike?
Well, what I have up on the screen is the site plan for the next
Got it.
public hearing.
Okay.
Does anybody have any idea why we put that echo so?
And you have the idea.
Unmute, or do you want me to unmute?
I see. Mike, did you change any of the settings with your
That's fine now,
cell phone?
Dave.
What's that?
Your voice is fine now.
Yeah, it's better now. Must be Mike with the mute. But Mike, we cannot hear you right now. Are you speaking?
I vote we go back to the town hall next month.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just like Verizon.
Okay.
Mike, you've also lost your blue hue. On my computer, your face was like blue. Not anymore. It's gone now.
All right. So the next item we have on the agenda tonight is the Comito property. They're here for front yard setback variance, a rear setback variance, and a buffer zone to the edge of the lake or shoreline. Is there any, well, we should probably take a motion to open the public hearing on this matter.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on the Comito matter.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Austin side eye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Comito,
Good evening.
and Mr. Osborne, your architect.
Oh, you're echoing again.
Would you like to make a presentation to the board tonight and to the public? And while we're at it, is there anybody from the public out there?
It's a packed house.
Okay, hearing none, I think we're by ourselves here tonight.
For Verizon, this is not.
Well, I see a Vincent Comito, I see Annette Palazzo, and I
Comito.
see Mr. Osborne.
Yeah.
Okay, so the public hearing is open. The Comitos and their representatives should have the floor.
So we were here last month and you know, for a workshop. It wasn't a public hearing, and discussed what we're doing. Okay, like so my client wishes to remove like a portion of the existing second floor and construct a full second floor over the entire house, with the exception of the existing one-car garage. There's a small portion, the lower right-hand corner there that we wish to, has a few jogs. We wish to square that off. And there's an existing awning on the front that we wish to enclose and make it like a vestibule. The previous plan had shown two decks, which came down to the lake closer. So I cut off the second deck and I extended the deck up to the you see up to the north side. Okay, move the hot tub and move the stairs over in that location. If you scroll down, you'll see that I added like a bulk table, a bulk chart.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Bulk chart there with the So that was asked for the last time. In that bulk chart, it shows we're looking for a front yard variance. You know, the current front of the house is existing non-conforming. Okay, we're looking for a rear yard variance. Once again, the existing house is existing non-conforming, and a variance for the existing house distance to the shore. Again, that all right, the existing house or the house is existing non-conforming. I verified the height. Okay, the height is fine. I verified the impervious area. All right, and the lot coverage, which is fine. We do not need variances on those, and that's it.
Where is proposed? So just to review what the variances requested are, the front yard is not, it's
9.6.
Correct.
The vestibule, I think, is for the front yard.
Yeah.
To make it into like a mudroom type situation.
Yes, yeah. Currently now you walk in the front door, you're right on top of the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, give them a little more space in the front. Not a lot, comes out 5 feet.
But that's still,
So that's where that 10-foot dimension is.
Yeah.
That's a little
Yeah,
vestibule you're putting in?
correct, 1-story vestibule.
So basically, you're just enclosing a stoop.
Right, exactly, yeah. It has an awning on it right now, but we're gonna enclose it with walls and a new roof.
Okay. And then in the back here, where you're adding the deck with the hot tub, what's hard to see here is beneath that is an existing stone patio.
Correct, yeah,
Difficult to see just because of the yellow
Yeah.
color.
yellow color. We're gonna cover over the existing stone, yeah.
Right, and where that shoreline offset applies is from this dash blue line, which represents your edge of shore,
Correct, yeah, yes.
and that was verified in the field.
Yes, it was. I verified that with the surveyor. And I spoke with Sean, the engineer of the town, a couple times. He didn't seem to be overly concerned with that line either.
Okay.
So all of the distance to the shoreline, is that all existing or is that a new condition?
It's all existing.
So you're not
Let me
building
see if I
anything
can
closer
zoom
to
in to
Not with the deck, it's not existing.
demonstrate.
Well, yeah.
That's all.
Well, like the northern portion of the deck is, right, yeah.
Yeah, the northern portion up here, that's kind of new because you can see the
Right,
existing patio is outlined
there,
here, these
yeah,
yellow
yeah.
boulders.
hmm
And here you can see that there's no.
Or up there
no
is
change.
what? I can't see that. The distance to the shore up on that northern part is what? 40?
It's
43.
it's 43.25 feet.
And then at
There's
the,
an existing
Right.
boathouse there that's only about 5 feet off the shoreline.
I don't think the boathouse is a concern of ours,
Right,
from my understanding from the last meeting.
right, correct. Mhm.
so where's the
And
rear
the
yard?
existing minimum setback from the shoreline is a
Is-
39.7.
Right,
So the 43.25
is
although
more
it's a
than
new
that number.
setback,
okay.
hmm
So that's why you said the distance to the shore is just a pre-existing condition.
Correct.
You're not enlarging, you're not making anything closer than the existing 39.7.
Except
Oh, on
down
the bottom.
below,
Just
Yeah,
gotta pan
pull
up.
down.
Oh, okay, there it is, okay.
And-
All right,
and
if you
there
scroll
again,
down a little
Gary,
bit more, you'll see the
this
existing
corner
garage.
of the deck to the concrete patio below.
Right,
That's a,
And as
If
we
you
were
scroll down a little
discussing
more,
at the last meeting, there was a whole series of stairways and decks that came out here that occupied this space.
Right.
occupied that space that we
Got rid of
removed. Yeah,
Okay.
compromised.
Mike, can you scroll down a little bit more?
Yeah, scroll down a little more.
Yeah.
And you'll see the existing garage is off the shoreline 20 foot 10 inches.
Yeah, right there.
So that garage, what's the closest thing that was there already? I can't see it. It's,
Closest thing is that existing garage,
which is what, 20 point, what is it?
8.3, 20 feet 10 inches. And the existing setback we're asking for from the corner garage right to the rear property line is you see is 18.8.
Right, and that's not a change dimension.
That's not a change dimension. We're not changing the garage, other than we're going to reside and re-roof it, but that's it. If we get the variance.
What water body are we next to here?
Lumbatia Lake.
Monbassia Lake.
So the green line, the green dash line is the 50-foot line, right?
That's the property line.
Property line.
Oh, the green dash line is the setback
No,
line.
not the curved one, the straight one. That's the 50-foot line. Maybe pan up a little bit.
Maybe I should have removed that line, but yeah.
No. Wait, sorry. Zoom out a little bit, so you can see the lot.
If I remember correctly, you own a lot across the street as well, correct?
Yes. we
That's
do.
correct.
2 lots.
Yeah.
Zoom out.
Put the lot in the view. So
You own all.
see there's a dashed green line, and it kind of runs parallel to the shoreline, and kind of jogs in, and it's following. Not that one, the one on the inside of the lot. That's your 50-foot.
Those were
setback.
setbacks of the house off the property line.
Talking about the one that passes through the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah,
a
that
front
guy
yard
right
and a
there.
rear yard setback.
Yeah. So the house, right? The house.
Existing house,
Existing house is built forward of the development line.
right, correct.
So being that
Right,
the existing,
the bulk of the building envelope that's compliant is all over here. That's all empty.
Right.
This house was built pretty much well outside of it. 90% of it.
1930s, in the
the
1930s.
existing house predates the zoning.
Zoning,
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's a question I have. The property across the street is part of this parcel, and it's also part of what you're using for your lot area coverage calculations.
Correct.
How do we, is this a separate tax lot?
No.
Was at one time, now it's all one. Sorry. It was at one time, now it's all one tax lot.
It's all one because it's owned by the same owner and it's considered part of one lot, or is it legally two separate? Legally one, because it still shows two separate tax lot numbers.
Yeah, this is 38.6.5.2.
Is he talking about
This is
higher?
38.5.18.
It's the 3 tax lots, but it's all one owner.
Yeah,
Right, and he
it's
gets
two
one tax
separate
bill.
parcels, and it's separated by a roadway. What I'm getting at here is, will this ever be sold in the future?
Well, if you look at the green dash line, there's not much room to build a house in there. So, I don't think he can sell it.
It's a pretty small lot. I went on a site visit. It's not really a buildable lot for what I can see.
Right.
I mean, it's all ledge. It's half of it is literally stone, and I
Okay.
mean one stone.
It's 2/10 of an acre. It's,
Right.
what is the required area?
Wired area.
It's not listed.
I mean, it would probably cost more to blast it than to build it.
I'm sorry, are we bringing this up because that area is included in the calculations, or are those bulk
Yes.
calculations based on just the size of the tax lot 38.6? What is it? I can't.
My memory from the last meeting is that we were including that into the calculations of the property as a whole.
Yeah, and where it applies is to the impervious area percentage.
Impervious area. Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Is that what's customarily done?
Yes.
Is that a private road? Or is that a public road?
Private.
Private.
so am I looking at this right? The variances that are required? I've got three only. There's the front yard, there's 9.6 feet, and that's for the front little porch area that already exists, and you're gonna just close it.
Correct.
And there's a rear yard, existing condition, 15.5 feet, but 40 feet required, and then also a pre-existing spot where there's something already there.
Correct.
And then the distance to the store is the same thing, 20.3 measured from the same spot as that 8.5 rear yard. It just
Correct.
measured a little bit further to the shore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
What, if you go to the bulk table, Mike, what's the lot coverage on this?
It's like 12%. Maximum's 33, existing is 11,
Oh, okay.
and with the additional coverage, it pushes it up to 12.
Yeah, so it's, okay.
And that's why I was asking if the other parcel across the street remains part of this, because I think this calculation would be very different.
Right.
That one right now.
Mike, what does it say in our code that you can do that? I mean, I don't want to use this as an educational lesson for the entire world. I didn't know that you can cluster the lots together and do that.
16,249.
It may have something to do with the fact that it's a private road. And I don't know, but I'm just bringing that up.
And that's why I'm saying, you know, in order to issue these variances, those two lots need to be linked as one. And given they're two separate tax lot numbers, and there's a road separating them, that's what concerns me. But Mr. Osborne's mentioned that these two parcels have been merged into one tax lot.
Actually, there's 3 lots that got merged together.
Yeah.
This one, and back here.
We see two tax lot numbers.
If you,
You have a copy of the approved subdivision? There should be a new subdivision plat that was issued, right? Show the whole thing as one lot.
No, you don't have to do that. It doesn't have to, because you're combining lots,
If
subdivision.
you're just combining a lot, you don't need to have an approved map.
All right, so here again, this is a separate tax lot, so there are 3 separate parcels that make it up. And, you know, without even looking at it closely, I only picked up on the fact that there were 2, but there's actually 3. Is there something we can do to bind these 3 lots together, Dave?
Doing the echo.
I'm getting a really bad echo and feedback.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the law on that. I've not looked at our code on that point. I know that there are, there's a whole body of law that talks about when lots in common ownership are considered merged under the law. And, without going back and looking at that law, this certainly sounds like it's probably that situation. It's complicated by the fact that there's this, that they're separated by a road. But if the road, is the road an easement, or the road is a separate lot? Like what is, or is it owned?
16.6.
It is a private road.
And this is a very old subdivision.
Yes.
I mean, you can see the filed map lot number is 312. Oh, no, that's the lot number. But given the area that it's in, I imagine it is very old. That's something to have.
So I just did a quick calculation of the one lot. Okay, the main lot. Okay, the coverage, the impervious coverage. And so the existing house and driveway and the boathouse and whatnot, coverage just on that lot, okay, I come up with 18%, which is still complies with the code of like 33%.
Okay. Well, then that solves that issue.
So when you take just that main lot, that it comes to 18%
coverage. Includes the driveway, the existing house, existing garage, the boathouse. Of the three lots, that's the largest lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 16,249 square feet. So we still only need 3 variances, thankfully.
Well, I guess there, from a legal point of view, Dave, I guess there, the question about the multiple lots is something that I guess we need to, not necessarily think about for this, but for in general, it'd be interesting to know
for future stuff.
Yeah. If it ever comes up again and it becomes something that we've got to decide as a board, we could definitely look at it. And if Ben needs some, legal advice on that for future determinations on lot coverage.
Right. But as it relates to this, do you think we need that bulk table updated just to include that one lot? I mean, not to necessarily hold things up, but.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean,
just to show it can stand by itself.
Yeah. Or, if, I would do that. I think that's a smart idea. Or, you could show it in the alternative, show that it complies either way.
Even though he pays one tax bill?
Well, is it all in one bill, or is it 3 different lots and he pays it in one check?
No.
It doesn't matter.
One bill.
One.
It's all
lot.
money for your wallet.
I believe it's one lot.
So I don't know. It's 6 of one, 1 dozen of the other. It stands. It applies with code. Ben's really the one that's in charge of that determination to begin with. And I don't think the board was inclined to grant variances here that it would have deemed to have admitted that bulk date was correct in that or not correct.
I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. I can't hardly, excuse me, I can hardly hear. It's going in and out.
The echo.
Yeah, it's an echo. I don't know why that echo has been with us for a while now. So
Everybody mute unless you're talking.
There we go.
It's a good idea, Noreen. Thank you. So I'll talk. What I was saying is, oh yeah, that's better. What I was saying is that I don't know that we need to worry about that here. I don't think that if the board, for example, were to be inclined to grant the variances and the bulk table treated it as all one, the board isn't passing judgment on that. You know, it's not deciding that issue. So just because it says it on there, it doesn't necessarily mean that the board has decided that that's in fact the case. And it may well be in fact the case. It may not be, but it's, you know, it's not something that's, I don't think the board needs to worry too much about here.
Okay, that's fine.
So
Mike still on? No.
mic's on. If anybody else wants to speak, I'll mute myself.
I think Mike's muted. I don't know if he's trying to talk.
Mike, if you know, I don't know if you know, Mike, but you're muted. Oh, you want us to talk? Can you hear us? Can you hear me? We cannot hear you. And I wish I knew why this Zoom is giving us fits tonight. It's, you know, really never misbehaves like this.
And this is certainly a new problem with the echoing.
Yeah. And with the difficulties that Mike's having, not being able to hear.
We try to maybe log off and then log back into the session. Does that make sense?
We could, or sometimes it seems like it might be solving itself at times.
It does. It comes and goes.
Yeah, with no particular rhyme or reason to it.
You know, one moment you're echoing, and halfway through a sentence, you're not echoing.
Yeah. So it looks like Mike is trying to pull something up. He's pulling up the.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
There we go. So what I pulled up was the deed for the property, and it's got the 3 separate tax lots listed.
Okay.
So, I mean, they were purchased at the same time.
I had them combined after I purchased the property.
Okay.
Oh, how did you go about doing that?
Don't really remember. I think I went down to the building department and did it. I really don't remember. I did it 18 years ago.
Okay.
Something in the assessor's office.
Okay.
So again, I think it's a non-issue for our purposes.
Okay.
Quick question. We were just looking at a plan that had revised deck layout and additional dimensions. Do we have that? I don't see it in my email. Yeah, this drawing with the revised bulk chart.
Yeah, this came in an email.
I have it.
All right, I'm digging.
Yeah, it was a February 5th email, I believe.
Austin, I sent you all the pictures. I'm the lady who will panic a little bit. I sent you all the pictures of the back of the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I have that. I was just looking for the drawing.
Did you locate it, Austin? It was a February 5th email. If not, I could grab it and try to forward it to you.
I have a February 5th email, but it doesn't have the plan. It has the whole application, but I don't see the plan.
Yeah, let me see.
Actually, I have a February 5th. I have a February 5th email, and it has drawing A3. That's it.
That's the one. Or A2.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. They're all here. I had to hit the down button. It was hiding the attachments. Got it. Got it. Surprises tonight.
So what, Mike, what are we waiting for discussion on this? What's your?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I was doing, I was looking at the tax map. Orange County GIS. So here, it's listed as one tax lot, 38-5-18.1, and all three pieces light up.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
So
Done and done.
that kind of proves that it is blended as one tax lot. It was all purchased under one deed, so, you know, if he ever wanted to sell pieces of it, he'd have to re-subdivide.
Mm-hmm.
See that, Mr. Comito, our chairman is very skilled.
I got a little nervous. I'm like, do I owe 17 years in those lots?
Okay.
Well, that's good news. All right.
So does anybody have any other substantive comments on the nature of the application itself?
No.
I have no comments.
My only comment is that what's there is existing, and, you know, I think what the Comitos are trying to do is improve the property, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not there. It doesn't seem to me that they're requesting anything that's, you know, out of the ordinary.
Well, what's there in the blue crosshatch is existing, right? The deck is new, and the thing that says
Right.
addition, is not existing.
Right, but the variances are for items that are not being added.
You know, a little bit of the vestibule in the front of the house and the corner.
No,
of
the house, the corner part of the house that's 9.6 is not the vestibule.
Right.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't think I realized
It's not
that.
a screen.
Yeah. What we proposed does not increase any variances.
Right, right.
Yeah. Pretty small stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't make the encroachment worse because you're building a second story.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Are we ready to discuss?
Okay.
Yeah, what?
Is there anybody from the public here for this?
Yeah, I don't see anybody. I see the members of the board, and I see the applicant and their representatives, right? That's all I see.
Mm.
I
One-
spoke to, excuse me, I spoke to all my neighbors, let them know. I know that prior they had sent some letters.
Yeah, there was a couple of letters.
So I'm not sure. They elderly people, and sometimes they don't really know how to Zoom. So that's
No,
why I asked for the
yeah.
letters.
The letters that I read were all very positive.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no more members of the public and the board members don't have any further questions, does anybody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the Comito public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Was that Austin?
It was Kevin.
Kevin?
Oh, Kevin. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your service.
Okay,
Yes.
we still have to make a decision on.
Hey, that was just the public hearing.
Granting
Oh, I'm
the-
sorry.
Not
Go
finished.
ahead.
I got too happy.
Bear with us.
I got embarrassed.
You're a little cocky up there.
I want to go to.
No, it's the tension, it's the stress.
I'm joking.
So, David, can you review the variances being requested tonight?
Yeah, it's, there's 3 variances being requested. One is for the front yard. It's for a condition of 9.6 feet, whereas 40 feet is required. That's an existing condition, but a variance is required because of the technical expansions, the enclosure of the front stoop, et cetera. There's a rear yard variance of, I believe I have it as 18.5 feet.
18.8.
18.8. And whereas 40 feet are required, and that's a pre-existing condition off the corner of the existing garage, if I understand right. And the other is the distance to shore, 20.83 feet. Is that
Correct.
That's
where
correct.
50 feet are required, and that's measured in that same location off the corner of the garage. It's just slightly longer because there's a distance between the property line and the shoreline, if I understand that correctly. So it's just those 3.
Okay. So given those 3 variances being requested and the fact that we've reviewed the property, we recognize that the 3 separate parcels are now actually combined into a single tax lot. They're not really increasing the footprint of existing variances. The new structure is pretty much a second story on the existing dwelling, along with the creation of a deck off the rear of the house that covers the area that's currently occupied by a patio. Do we want to go through the 5 questions regarding the relative impacts of the variance?
Yeah.
If you'd like,
Okay.
I could recite them and have you talk about them, right? So you know it's a balancing test, the benefit to the applicant against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The 5 factors are: 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. Anybody feel that there will be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties?
No.
No.
The second factor is whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
No.
The third is whether the requested area variance is substantial.
No.
No, because it's
Pre-existing.
really just adapting the variances that currently exist that are out there now.
Okay, and then the fourth is whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
No.
And then the last is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which, as you know,
Yes.
is relevant but not will not preclude the granting of the variance.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I think although they're looking to put an addition on the home, they're doing it in the least impactful way possible to the zoning code. They're complying with the regulations as best they can, given the current configuration of the house on the lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, you could entertain a motion to, based upon the answers, it seems that they're all pointing towards a grant. So you might want to entertain a motion by, to the effect of granting the 3 variances sought based upon, conditioned upon compliance with the revised plans that were last dated. What was that? What was the updated plans? What's the date on the updated plans?
February 2nd, 2021.
Right. So,
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve front yard, rear yard, distance to lake setbacks for this project.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That's unanimous.
Good, congratulations, Mr. and
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Okay, now,
Yeah,
thank
thank you.
you.
And thank you very much for getting the paperwork done, so everything was in order. That helped us reach our conclusions more easily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you
Yeah.
for your architect. Yeah.
See you guys around.
Have a nice,
Yes.
invite us to the hot tub party.
We will.
I have a question. Does the hot tub have to actually be on the deck or could it be off to the
Mr.
side?
Camilo, don't ask.
Don't ask.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the building inspector.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Thanks, Eric.
Good night.
Why would you
Good night.
ask that?
All right.
So, for the board members, you know, I'm always learning and reading as well. I've recently come across somebody that gave me an idea that's it's good practice if we're going to, you know, vote verbally to approve applications. And I like it. I'd like to start implementing. I'm trying to implement it with all the boards. Is, you know, once there's a grant, a vote to grant, to then do a separate motion to authorize me as counsel to prepare a resolution memorializing that vote and authorizing the chairman to sign it. And that's sort of better practice to kind of close that loop at the end. I don't think it's 100% necessary, but it is a good practice. So I'm going to try to institute that with all my boards.
Sounds good.
We might as well start.
If it tightens things up and makes it,
to
you know, more legal.
prepare the resolution and authorize the chairman to sign it upon presentation.
Do we have to make a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to tell McCartney to stop putting new motions into our meetings. Yeah, so that would be a separate motion, or that could be embedded within, you know, in the future, if you're gonna make a motion to approve, you know, you could embed that within that motion as well. Motion to approve on the following conditions and to direct counsel to prepare a resolution and authorize the chairman to sign it.
All right.
You know, so.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so actually, that's probably the easier way to do it. It's less bulky, so we'll just add that to all those motions if there's an approval. Actually, or, you know.
If you could remind us as we go along, Dave, and we'll make
Yeah,
sure we add it in.
I'll try to remember to do that. But, so you want to make a motion to that effect now and kick it off?
Sure, why not? I can't. Kevin, can you repeat that, please?
No, I cannot.
I could also make a motion.
You know, Peter, would you like to offer a motion that directs council to prepare a resolution memorializing the grant of the variances tonight and to authorize the chairman to sign that resolution?
I would like to make a motion in that effect.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Austin said.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 There we go. All right, I'm so authorized. Perfect.
That doesn't. It's not creating any additional paperwork. It's just it's just the resolution you're going to prepare anyway.
Right. It just closes a little bit of a loop. It's a little bit of a closure on the procedure because there's, you know, arguably there's like a disconnect at the end of the day. Like I'm doing my best after our votes to capture what was said in a resolution, but obviously I'm not capturing it word for word. I'm putting my sort of, you know, craft on it and then giving it to Mike, and it never ends up coming back before the board. So a colleague of mine said, you know, you might consider, you know, doing it this way. That's what I do. And I said, you know, that makes sense. It kind of closes that last little, you know, very technical oddball issue when you do it that way. So, you know, there's other boards that don't do it that. Other boards will close the hearing, take a straw vote, and then direct, you know, and then I go prepare a resolution. Then I bring it back at the following meeting.
Right.
And then they read the resolution into the record, and they're moving the resolution together into the record. that adds an added element of delay
Right.
applicants. It delays all applicants who otherwise are going to get an approval another month.
Yeah, I don't
see.
So this is a fine way to do it, but when we do it this way, I like having that extra authorization. I thought that was a good idea when somebody mentioned it to me, so I'm going to try to implement it.
Yeah. Do a lot of other boards do that? They have you draft a resolution and vote on it the next meeting?
I have one or two that do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably legally correct, but it just delays the whole process.
Well, that board was a board that was also in the habit of meeting every 2 weeks, twice a month.
Oh, okay.
And, presently with COVID, they're out of that. And so they're still doing it that way. But, when you meet every 2 weeks, that becomes far less of a burden. In fact, the way they originally were doing their meetings was they would have the first meeting of the month was the public hearings, and the second meeting of the month was the decisions. And that was it. And they just went boom, 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 boom. And that's how they worked it. They kind of fell out of that though. And now we're just doing, everything all the time. So anyway.
Good. So
good. So we should have a motion to, are there any minutes or is there anything else that needs to be accomplished tonight? Otherwise, a motion to adjourn or an adjournment.
Well, I while we're together, I just wanted to bring up the fact that, maybe next month we want to get back together in town hall.
I'm open to go back to town hall, but if people don't feel comfortable, we don't have any public hearings currently scheduled, right?
Well, actually we do. We have LeBlanc, he's got to come back.
Oh, Mr. LeBlanc, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then we have a Feeney property that made a application, but it was incomplete. And they'll probably be new on the agenda next month, plus anything else that comes in. But as far as public hearings, it's just the closure of the LeBeau.
Right. And the town council as well as planning board, are they back?
Town council has been back for a while. Planning board had a January meeting and one February meeting. We did one Zoom meeting in February.
Are they planning to be back in?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're planning to be back full time.
So I think we should probably go back. I mean, that's just my thought.
Yeah, I'm fine with going back. Especially because I seem to be the problem child here anymore with getting my microphone to sync up.
Yeah, these minutes are going to be horrible.
Well, also the fact
that
this
meeting's going to be bad.
We don't, you don't have the hard copy in front of you looking at the same thing. It's pretty difficult.
You could have come and pick up your paperwork.
I'm just saying, like when an applicant's giving their presentation, it's easier if they're standing right in front of you.
Speaking of stopping by town hall, you all have to bring your smiling faces in for your new IDs.
All right.
I
never used the last one.
Yeah, I never got
We
one.
never got the last ones. Then they had George going out and taking pictures, and now they have a new company, and they want everybody standing at the same spot in town hall getting their pictures done.
Got it.
So we could do that at our meeting next month?
Well, they would prefer you to stop in before then because they thought we were going to be back in town hall this month.
Okay.
Well,
what time tomorrow morning?
We have to see a certain person?
Well, the guy Nick in finance is taking them, but I took the planning board, so I can take yours as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you're the photographer.
Well, I try. I'm not very good at it, so don't put faces at me. So anytime from 8 to 4, except for Friday, I am leaving early Friday.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Just try to stop in so we can get these IDs done and they'll stop asking me.
Yeah.
All right. We all got our ethics papers in and.
Yep. The only one they questioned that. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Aaron Freed has not done anything. He has not done any credits for last year. I spoke with Tony. He said he had mentioned to you about reaching out to Aaron about getting a resignation letter. Have you done?
Oh, he did not mention that to me, but I'll certainly reach out to him.
Yeah, we need to get a resignation letter from Aaron
Okay.
because he's not participating and we need to fill the spot. So
Have we
All
had-
right, and we also have 2 alternates that we've never filled.
exactly, we need to get a board
You know,
member.
if
So if you know
knows
anybody,
anybody who's interested in being part of this happy gang,
I reached out to somebody. They said they were overcommitted.
I mean, I think we've been pretty lucky with the 4 of us. That we've been able-
yes, but God forbid something happens, one of you can't make it, it causes an issue for a vote.
Well, three is what's a quorum? Is it?
3 is a quorum.
3.
But if you had a county GML review, you'd need a supermajority, but those haven't really been coming up too much.
No, but the one time we had 4 and we had a split vote, so it would
Yeah,
be
that was
easy
And an
to
alternate.
have the 5th.
Mike,
Excuse
maybe
me.
you should talk to Tony about increasing the pay for the ZBA. Maybe we'll get some more people.
yeah, I just saw the budget for the year, and there was no increase in pays for anybody.
I'm not even gonna go there.
All right. Okay, so why don't we call it now? We'll go back to town hall for March. We'll give that a shot. If for some reason it doesn't work out, then, we can resume Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
In the future.
Okay, so the procedure is, last month we had you come in off of the patio, and then we got 2 feet of snow. So you come through the front door, I'll have to take your temperature, you have to sign a waiver, then you go into the meeting room, and you have to wear your mask the whole time during the meeting. You have 5 people up on the dais, you have table on the side. I don't know whether they'll put Dave up on the dais or Dave on the side because there's only 4 board members, and I sit off to a separate table. If I have to leave to go take additional temperatures, I have to do that. Try to keep everybody coming in about the same time, at least a few minutes before the meeting starts, especially for our first time back. George would like to go over the microphones and everything with everybody because they're a lot different than the last microphones.
So they changed.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe we get there a little bit early then next month.
Yeah, that would be good.
Sounds good.
But
All right.
so stop in for your pictures.
Yep.
And then I'll make sure I get hard copies of all meetings, and you are more than welcome anytime after submission date to let me know, and you can stop by and pick up all your packets.
Thank you.
Wait to the meeting to get your packet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much, Maureen, for your help tonight. And David, thanks for leading us through another Zoom meeting.
No problem. No problem. We got through it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, is there a motion to close the meeting tonight?
I'll make a
Sure.
motion
I'll second the motion.
to close the meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Thank you, folks.